If your child is doing GCSE Spanish and you sometimes look at their work thinking, they know this, so why are they still making mistakes? You're definitely not alone. In fact, most GCSE Spanish students lose marks not because they don't know enough, but because of a handful of very predictable mistakes in grammar, vocab, and exam technique. So in today's video, I'm going to break down the most common errors I see as a Spanish tutor, and more importantly, how you as a parent can help your child avoid them without becoming their full-time Spanish teacher. ¿Listo? Vamos! All right, well, let's start with grammar because this is where a lot of students quietly lose marks. One of the biggest issues is verb conjugation, horrible word conjugation. Students will often say things like yo comer instead of yo como. It's a small mistake, but in an exam, these small mistakes add up really quickly. Another classic is confusing ser and estar, and even confident students mix these up under pressure. And honestly, it's not surprising. I mean, both mean to be, but they behave very differently. Then, of course, there's tense confusion. Students might start a paragraph in the past tense and suddenly drift into the present halfway through without noticing. So what can parents do? Well, the good news is that you don't need to correct everything. In fact, that can be overwhelming. Instead, look for patterns. So if you notice that your child is repeatedly making the same mistake, gently point it out and say something like, I've noticed this verb keeps changing. Let's focus on just that one for now. Even better, help them create tiny, targeted practice drills rather than redoing whole exercises. Now let's talk about vocab, or more specifically, English interference. A really common GCSE Spanish mistake is translating word for word from English. I see it all the time. For example, I have 14 years. Tengo 14 años. And students often know the right phrase, but in the pressure of writing, their brain defaults to the English structure. Another issue is over-relying on basic vocab and not building flexibility. So instead of saying something slightly more natural or varied, they stick rigidly to what they first learned. So how can parents help here? Well, you can encourage your child to use Spanish in full sentences, not just word lists. Even 5 minutes a day describing things like their day, their hobbies, or what they ate, any of that can massively improve vocab recall and accuracy. And don't worry about perfection. Fluency comes before accuracy. Okay, well, this is the big one because even strong students lose marks here. And a very common issue is not answering the questions properly. Students see a question and just write everything they know about the topic instead of focusing on what was actually asked. Another one is missing key details, especially in longer writing tasks where marks are awarded for variety and complexity. And finally, switching tenses or writing too simply because they panic under exam conditions. So what can you as a parent do? Well, try this simple approach when reviewing practice work. Ask them, have you actually answered every part of the question? Can you spot where you've changed tenses? Could you add one more detail to improve your answer? You're not correcting their Spanish, you're helping them think like an examiner, and the distinction is super powerful. So to recap, most GCSE Spanish mistakes fall into 3 areas. Grammar slips like verb endings and tense confusion. Vocab which is shaped too heavily by English. And exam technique issues like not fully answering the question. The good news? Well, these are all fixable with the right guidance and consistent practice. If you'd like your child to have structured support with exactly these areas, grammar, vocab, and exam techniques, I run GCSE Spanish courses designed specifically for home-educated learners. It's clear, step-by-step, and focused on helping students avoid these common mistakes so they can build confidence and improve their grades. You can find out more and enroll via the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.